My name is Mark. I'm back with Dave. We're here to talk about the Thunder. We're looking at the All-Star break with awesome pumped upness, right? Anticipation. Yeah. We're feeling on the inside, guys. And here we are.
We're filled with joy.
We got Josh Giddey and Jdub playing in the Rising Stars game. SGA playing in the All-Star game. SGA is consistently getting his name mentioned in the MVP race. And we're looking at these other players coming along. Dave, where are we at with this season, bro?
Man, I feel really good. I mean, like, really good about the season. The emergence of Jdub, to me, has been the most impressive thing, first of all. And I last night after the game, I just wanted to be able to find another player that I felt like had the abilities that Jdub does, that the ability to get up, the ability to get up the floor, the defensive ability. And I just started going through like tons and tons of players in the NBA. And like, nah. Highlight here, highlight there, right? And I stopped at Scottie Pippen. Nice. And just stopped because I found a highlight reel of Scottie Pippen when he was young. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, the way that they're able to comp was truly spectacular. And I should have stopped there, but you know how I am. I'm like, all right, let's find some more stuff, right? And then I'm like looking down the articles and I see this video and I was like, hey, Scottie Pippen's got a big dick, right, bro?
Oh, bro.
And I'm like, oh, no. I can't help myself. So I had to click on it, right? So like, what in the world? And it was like, Scottie Pippen's got a big dick, but John Sally has the legendary dick of the NBA. And of course I'm like, what? So I'm pulling up my Google search, like everybody right now that's listening and that's curious about John Sally's legendary NBA cock. And bro, no, guys, I'm telling you, man, like it would not. He couldn't wear those short shorts because it would not fit in the shorts, bro. So, anyways, that's how I got to John Sally and Scottie Pippen. But, bruh, good times.
What the fuck, dude? I thought we were talking about basketball. And then you started talking about testicles and dicks.
No,
stuff,
no
dude.
Testicles.
Whatever, dude. You're like his short shorts wouldn't hold him. Like, all right, man. But let's see if we can recover while we still have a little bit of time and maybe a few people listening. All right, so we started this season, bro, and there was a big divide in the fan base of which direction things should go. But this team's aggression and the winning mentality has won over the entire fan base. And there's only like 3 people that are willing to stand up and say, I still want to lose games. Like, I don't even know who they are anymore. They've all just kind of shut up. And even the people who used to like actively cheer for losing now have decided that they don't like that anymore, which is amazing. So now we're squarely sitting in the 10th spot for the Western Conference, which means we're in the play-in game going into the All-Star break, which with I think 24, 25 games left is a complete flip of what anybody thought coming into this season. How do you feel about it?
This is exactly we talked about. Man, it gets me excited because we talked about the All-Star break with 26 games, 25 games left that we needed to be like within a game or two of 500. And I remember like thinking about it and just being like, okay, like the reality is that means that we're going to have a better record than we did prior last 2 years, and whether or not we were able to do that, I just didn't know if we were able to do that in the aspect of being able to put out every single game in, game out, and keeping guys healthy. And we saw what happened. We lost our big men in January, and I was concerned. I was like, how is this team going to be able to pull through? And we saw January, we won 9 games. February, we've won a bunch of games here. We're putting ourselves in that position to be even in the playoff talk. It goes back to how well these guys are being coached. It goes back to how well these guys feel like they're home inside this organization. I mean, we are the youngest core, NBA core of all time, doing what we're doing. Like, this is scary. Like, I mean, again, when you're going and looking at each of these players, you're starting to say, okay, he's 24. He's starting to get to that point where, Shai's getting to that point where, everybody's recognizing him as an all-star. But to me, people are recognizing he's much better than just an all-star, that he is a top 2 guard in the West, that he is somebody that deserves to have a ton of credit. And I think that's the most powerful thing of the swing that we're watching happening here, Mark, is that I would have said 2 months ago, Shai would have had 0% chance to get MVP. Now, there's rumbles I mean, there's a ton of rumbles of Shai, demanding that respect. And that to me is impressive. It's crazy how quickly this has turned around.
So now when we look at it, obviously there is a chance we could fall backwards and find ourselves on the outside of the play-in. But we're also looking forward and we're saying, we're a few games outside of, being right in the playoffs, not just the play-in. I think 3 games back would put us into like the fifth place spot. It's crazy how it's crazy. The separation. And there are some teams when you look at like the Suns, they were getting ready for a really deep run. And I can't think of anybody else right now, but teams have been prepping for this playoff run. But there is a group of teams that look really soft. Like they didn't get better during the trade deadline. They're not necessarily geared up for a run. And I feel like we could probably skip a few of these teams.
Well, I mean, let's just go through it real quickly since we're talking about it. I feel like Denver is set. They're 5 games ahead. They're 41-18. I don't think they're going anywhere. I think that they'll probably end the year in the as the top team in the West. I think you got Memphis as a second team. I think that's pretty set. They're 3 games ahead of Sacramento, and I don't think there's that much as movement there. Now, Sacramento and Phoenix are a game apart, so I do think that Phoenix will pass Sacramento, and I think that will be obvious there. And then Sacramento is going to have to really deal with Los Angeles Clippers and Minnesota. And I'm not saying anything about Sacramento, but Sacktown has a name, Sacktown, for a reason, man. Like, they do really, really good for a short amount of time, and then they just, turn into a ball.
It's been a while since they've done this good, so I'm with you, but if they can stay healthy, you would anticipate they could probably hold steady.
Man,
but
we're 4 games away from it. That's they haven't separated from the group yet, and that's why I keep on going back to it. Is that like any of these teams that are now 3-10, like any one of them could drop out of the playoffs like that, because there's a 4-game separation between the 10th place team and the 3rd place team, and it's 4 games, and that's nothing. And we watched the Thunder pull up and get back in this playoff thing after losing 2 of 3 games, that's the thing about this, is that we're down low. So we're looking at Utah, which I don't think Utah wants to make it to the playoffs. I think Portland is struggling whether they want to make the playoffs right now, or if they want to try to, tank for another good player on their team. Shaden looks good. So why not add another young piece to this team for Portland? So for me, I'm looking at this like this, is that maybe Los Angeles Lakers want to win. Golden State's in trouble. Pelicans are in trouble. Dallas, who really knows right now? Minnesota, that's a big question mark. And Clippers, that's still a big question mark. So how far can the Thunder move up? Listen, the sky's the limit for this team. The way we play defense, the way we play offense, if Shai goes off and steps up the next level, which I know he's going to do, it's over, man. Like, we could get up there to that 4th or 3rd spot easily.
Yeah, and I see that mobility. I see the team buying in at the right time, us about to get healthy, hitting stride on so many different levels, and then we add a new player. Who do we add? Super Dario Saric. Now, we have not seen him play before in a Thunder jersey. We haven't even really seen him play very much over the last couple of years because, Dave, you mentioned he had an ACL injury last year. But he comes in and plays for the Thunder against the Rockets, and he looked like a man amongst boys.
Well, first of all, let's give credit to Jwill, because Jwill was out there teaching. I say teaching because Jwill's the rookie, but he was showing Dario how to maneuver out there and how to get around these guys. So I give a lot of credit to Jwill in how he was moving with that starting group for Dario. And you called it, man. Great call, by the way, when you said that Dario is going to be the first player off the bench to come in the game. And, he wasn't the first player, but he was with that first group of guys coming in the game. Then you saw him come in for Jwill. In the first, I think he played like 6 or 7 minutes, like high-end minutes right there. And I was like, okay, that's perfect, because if you see the type of play that Jwill was out there doing, he wasn't out there scoring. He's out there getting charges and rebounds. That's what Jwill was doing. Dario comes in, puts up 8 points almost right away, and it was just like, that's what we need coming off the bench. We need a spark, because we have all the sparks that we need in that starting lineup in rotation already. Like starting rotation, I should say, because it is something as we're rotating constantly. But I've been saying I'm a huge advocate of Dario. He fits really well with his team, his defense, his physicality, the way that he understands the game, and the way he passes. I mean, how many did he have? 2 passes behind the back last night, I think he had. Like he understands the game. Like he understands how to keep the flow of the game going, and that's something that for a big man is not something that's very common.
Yeah, dude, we had a crazy game last night. It was a complete drumming of the Rockets. It felt like a party the whole time. But the last time we played the Rockets, or 2 times ago, they beat us. And they beat us because they killed us on the offensive boards. Now, we got offensive boards that game too, but we needed to step up on the defensive boards. And like you mentioned, Jwill, he was playing like a man out there. Over and over during the live stream, I kept being like, that was a man's rebound. That was a man's rebound, because he would just go up and get it in traffic. And we saw this improvement. And we talked about the game. We did our post-game recap live on YouTube, and that was a crazy awesome time just to share with everybody immediately after the game. So if you want to check that out. But for what we were experiencing, bro, going into this All-Star game was a sense of jubilation that we haven't felt in a really long time. It felt like last year we were on the receiving end of the drummings, and this year we were giving them out.
Well, first of all, I want to give credit to all the people that show up on live, the live streams that we do and watch the game with us, George and Unk615 and Sabbath and
Blake
and Blake and all you guys that like.
Wani.
I could, Logan. I mean, I could go on and on and on. There's like 170 people that show up almost every single time. 150
have
people.
Such a great time.
And we sit there and it's like me falling in love with the Thunder all over again, because like it's one thing to watch the game by myself, but it's a whole new thing to watch it with all these other people and people making comments and everybody's like, oh my God, did you see that play? Like rewind, like this is what it's all about, is that the Oklahoma City Thunder, you can have this community of people sitting and watching and listening, and some people can't even watch the game and they're just listening to what the live reactions are and what people are saying and listening to the score when we call the score out. So this is big for me and it's big for us, because we want this to be about you guys. And this whole experience and starting this podcast and being part of this is about understanding this Oklahoma City Thunder team and where they're going. So when Mark talks about getting excited about this team and being pumped about where this team is going, right? It's because we get to share this with you guys. And as it's going and as we're going and getting better and we're getting closer and closer to the playoffs, it's, for me, like people are like, well, how in the world could you say that this team wasn't going to tank and this team was going to, go to the playoffs this year and win 40 wins? Like, how could you think that with a young team like this? And it's because if you look at the organization, you look at the way the coaching staff is, you look at the players and the way the players are coming up and learning and developing incredibly quickly, all the signs pointed to 40-win season this year. All the signs did. And because of that, I think we're in a really positive spot for this Thunder team to be sitting here and be excited about them. Because if we were 4 games behind 500 right now, we wouldn't be as excited as we are now. We're right. 1 game behind 500, and we have a legit chance to do some crazy things in this playoff run.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been so excited about a team that was below 500. But like you said, we have the youngest core in the NBA history. So we're sitting here, we're experiencing it all together. We keep talking about Shai. We see him do things that are like Mike all the time. The other day you sent me something ESPN sent, which was put up that was, he was the first player since Mike in '88 to score over 40 while averaging over 80% from the field without hitting a 3. And those are incredible things because they put it in perspective of the way that Shai is scoring so efficiently. He's unstoppable. And, when he's cooking, he's putting up all-time great numbers. Then we talk about about Giddey and how Josh Giddey compares to, some of the greats out there. We've been comparing him to Luka and to Magic Johnson. People compare him to Larry Bird. People compare him to Jason Kidd, Pistol Pete. And it's fun because he's still 20, but it's his second year. Yeah. And so it's kind of hard. How do we, evaluate him when a lot of rookies are 20 years old or 21 and he's still 20? And then now you've mentioned at the beginning, and we should definitely circle back to Jdub. And I know you got excited about his dick, but I'm talking more about basketball here. And I'm like, this guy can straight up hoop. I have this sheet of paper. I've been writing down everything. I went back to as far back as the NBA keeps stats to who led the league as a guard in dunks, and it goes all the way back to 96, 97. And I'm trying to put Jdub's 58 dunks, in historical perspective for a guard. And I'm going to work on, developing a little short or something that kind of explains it. But, you were trying to compare him to Scottie Pippen, and defensively, he has a lot of that element to him. But offensively, I see someone like D Wade crossed with James Harden. So he's aggressive at attacking the rim.
Watch that attacking the rim with Scottie Pippen and the way that he floats up there and the way that he hammers it down. And I'm telling you, it's almost like it's a mirror image. Right.
And then you go and you say Pippen was like a small forward, right? Whereas like Jdub has guard skills in a small forward body. So you kind of have to give him a little bit of like a different vibe there. And then you want to say he's also got like a shooting ability. So he's not like a straight slasher, like a player like, Drexler or Pippen, maybe at their primes. They were a little bit more than that. But like Jdub is already showing that ability to shoot the ball at a much higher level. So teams are having to sell out on protecting the paint, or they're going to make business decisions. But in the meantime, he's learning how to create that separation and just really take his time into his shot. You mix in the fact that we have the best. Go ahead.
And it helps that he's the fourth option on the team, essentially.
Yeah.
Because that's how other defensive teams are playing him. This is great for his development.
And then you mix in Isaiah Joe, the best three-point shooter by percentage in the NBA right now. You go through the depth of our bench, the way that we use the G League. There's so much to be excited about. There's so many things going on. This is really one of the best times ever to be a Thunder fan. And some people will question it because they'll look at the record, but you have to understand, we're seeing the foundation being put together for a championship run year after year after year. And when people look back and they say, how did we get to where we are? This is it. This is it. So that's why we want to get pumped up. That's why we want to appreciate you guys joining us. We love you. We thank you. And we will see you soon.